It was the last day of school, the day everyone had been counting down to. The halls buzzed with excitement, students rushing to sign yearbooks, swap numbers, and make plans for the summer. But for me, the day had a different weight, a strange sense of finality that I couldn't shake. Felt more like an ending than a beginning. My best friend, Alex, and I decided to hang back after everyone left. The school had this eerie calm to it when it was empty, and we figured we'd explore some of the places we'd never bothered to go before. There was something about being in the building without the usual chaos that made it feel like we had stepped into a different world. "Let's check out the basement," Alex suggested with a grin, nudging me toward the stairwell that led down to the school's underbelly. The basement was mostly used for storage and was off-limits to students, but we'd heard rumors about weird noises, flickering lights, even some old stories about students who had gone missing years ago. We'd always dismissed them as just that, stories. But as we descended the stairs, the air grew colder, and the hum of the school above faded into an unsettling silence. We reached the bottom, the fluorescent lights overhead buzzing faintly, casting a sickly yellow glow on the concrete floor. The basement was a maze of old lockers, discarded desks, and forgotten school projects. The further we went, the more the light seemed to dim, as if the shadows were swallowing it whole. "This place is creepy as hell," Alex muttered, his voice echoing off the walls. I agreed, but something drew me further in. A strange pull, like I was being guided by something unseen. We reached a door at the far end of the basement, one that looked older than the rest, with peeling paint and a rusted handle. I hesitated, but Alex, always the brave one, pushed it open. The room inside was small and cluttered, filled with old textbooks and broken chairs. But what caught my eye was a large, dusty mirror propped up against the wall. It looked out of place, too pristine compared to the rest of the junk surrounding it. There was something about it, something wrong. As I approached the mirror, I noticed my reflection looked off. It wasn't just dusty. It was distorted, like I was seeing myself through water. My reflection's eyes were darker, hollow, and its smile twisted into something that didn't match the expression on my face. "Do you see that?" I whispered, my voice trembling. Alex nodded, his face pale. "Yeah, but it's just a trick of the light, right?" I wanted to believe him, but the longer I stared, the more I felt like I wasn't alone in that room. My reflection blinked, and I swear, it was just a second slower than I did. Then it moved even though I hadn't. "Let's get out of here," Alex said, his voice breaking the trance. He grabbed my arm and pulled me back toward the door. But when we turned to leave, the door was gone. In its place was just a solid wall, the exit now nothing more than a memory. Panic surged through me. I turned back to the mirror, and my reflection was closer, reaching out as if to pull me in. I stumbled backward, tripping over something on the floor. When I looked down, I realized it was a pile of clothes, school uniforms, but they were covered in dust, as if they had been there for years, and they looked familiar. Alex was banging on the wall, trying to find a way out, but the walls seemed to be closing in, the air growing thicker, harder to breathe. The mirror's surface rippled like water, and I could hear a faint whisper, barely audible but unmistakable. "Join us." The reflection was no longer mine. It was a twisted version of me, eyes black and empty, smiling a grin that felt more like a threat than anything else. And behind it, I saw other faces, familiar ones. Students who had disappeared, their faces twisted in agony. I screamed, and the lights flickered out. For a moment, there was nothing but darkness and the sound of my heart pounding in my chest. Then, the lights flickered back on, but I was no longer in the basement. I was standing in the middle of the school courtyard, alone. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the ground. The building was silent, empty. I turned to where Alex had been, but he was gone. No sign of him, no sign of anything that had happened. I tried to tell people what happened, but no one believed me. The school brushed it off as a prank, saying Alex must have just run off. But I knew the truth. I could still feel the cold of the basement, still hear the whispers in the back of my mind. Every time I look into a mirror, I see them, Those twisted reflections, watching, waiting. I know they're still there, and I know they're coming for me. The last day of school was just the beginning. Now, I avoid mirrors, but it doesn't matter. I can feel them getting closer every day. The shadow of that last day never left me, and I know it never will.